If Dasani, Modelo, and The Undertaker had a threesome, Liquid Death would be their twisted love child. And with sales of $70 million last year, this canned water company actually has a long life ahead. I'm going to tell you all about them in just 1 second. Before we get to that, if you're new to the channel, my name's John Davids. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a marketer. I've driven over $120 million of growth for my clients over the last decade, working with my agencies, Influicity, DemandScope. The reason I make content like this is really so y'all can learn from the best marketers out there. And today, that's going to be Liquid Death. So to start off, let's rewind to 2017. Mike Cesario witnesses something absurd. Punk bands are drinking water to stay hydrated on stage. Not so weird, but they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that they're drinking water. They're actually drinking it out of Monster energy cans. That's right, specially made Monster Tall Boys filled with water, only for the band. These are not available for sale. Nobody else can buy these. This way, Monster can get visibility and the band can drink exactly what they want. Iced cold water. Of course, that's what they want. They're on stage, they're in the heat, they're working hard, they're performing for lots of people. Why would they want to drink sugary, caffeinated water? No. They want ice water. Now, Mike sees this and he's blown away. He's actually really surprised. But it gives him a wacky idea. He thinks, what if there was a water brand that oozed cool, like Aquafina, but with a dose of Machine Gun Kelly? It's a wild concept, hasn't been done before, but it's worth a shot. And Mike's an ad guy. He's a very creative person. He sort of has some ideas about how to brand this and how to position this. So before investing a dime into the product, Mike wants some validation. He wants to know this thing's going to work. And he does that with a classic startup hack. Now, you guys who have listened to me for a long time, you know this because I've talked about it before. Mike puts it into action. He runs a bunch of Facebook ads promoting his new water brand. He makes a video, but there is no water brand. It's still a concept. This water doesn't exist. He just wants to see if people care. Now, I've talked about this hack before, the whole idea of throwing up a landing page, spending $50 on Google Ads, and see if people come and see if when they come, they will enter their email. So you say, I've got a new product. Here's what it is. They click on the ad, and when they get to the landing page, it'll say, hey, product's coming soon. Get on the waiting list. You'll be the first to know. And that way you can see if people are interested. So after Mike does this, he realizes people are definitely interested. He gets 3 million views and over 100,000 Facebook likes. So he's feeling confident, and people want Liquid Death. Let's fast forward to 2019. The product drops. It's available only online. It sells very, very well. 1 year later, it's selling at Whole Foods. It is flying off the shelves. Next, it shows up in 7-Eleven. Then it shows up in Publix. Then it shows up in Sprouts. Before long, Live Nation, one of the biggest concert companies in the world, they start carrying Liquid Death across all their venues. In fact, they carried it exclusively for a little bit, and then I think they opened it up, and of course, they carry other beverages, but Liquid Death was exclusive for a little bit. Live Nation is also a big investor in Liquid Death. Mike is building huge momentum, huge growth across the brand in a way no water brand has ever attempted anything like this, especially from the marketing front. Now, here's the playbook he's using. Liquid Death isn't actually selling water. They're not selling water at all. They're selling a lifestyle. They're selling permission. They're telling you it's okay if you don't want to sip caffeinated sugar water. It's totally fine. It's like a subtle fist bump telling you that it's all good if you don't want to get drunk at 2 p.m. You don't need to feel like a total nerd if all you want to drink is a can of ice cold water, because we're going to pack it in a tall boy. We're going to plaster it with bleeding skeleton logos, and we're going to surround it with punk rock vibes, because it's not water. It's Liquid Death. Now, I've talked about this before. When you're selling a commodity, brand is everything. It's everything. And these guys get it. Mike and his team understand. That's how they're building this brand in a $280 billion market. That's how much bottled water sold last year. $280 billion. I want to drill down on a few things that Mike is doing that I think are actually spectacular. So the first one is the consistency of the messaging. If you guys check out Liquid Death and check check out all the different assets they have, the logos, the colors, the names of the flavors, how they present themselves in the copywriting and the imagery, and even the font choices. They did a promotion called the Blind Taste Test. This is actually pretty funny. They had some people commenting that they can tell what Liquid Death tastes like, and it sucks. They didn't like the flavor. It's inferior to the other bottled water brands. And the team over at Liquid Death was saying, no. Our water is just as good. It's better. It's fresher than the others. Now, in reality, honestly, guys, it's water. I don't care if you're drinking $20 a bottle of water or $1 a bottle of water. It's all the same water that comes from the tap. Don't believe the marketing. It's just there to get you to buy it. And I do buy it because I like the convenience of having water on the go. But what they did was they set up the Blind Taze Test, T-A-Z-E. We will give you $1,000 if you can get this right, if you can actually pick our water out of a lineup blindly. And if you don't get it right, we're going to tase you. That's what they did. Now, I think in reality, the people didn't get it right. They couldn't pick out Liquid Death when they actually did this. They have a campaign with Travis Barker out now, Enema of the State. They're selling a $182 Enema package, of course, made with Liquid Death. And I believe it's selling really well. Maybe it's sold out or something like that. It's a real thing. You can buy it for $182. Flavor names. They've got flavors like Bury It Alive, Convicted Melon, Rest in Peach. These guys are all over the branding. And so it's not like you have the name Liquid Death and then it ends there and everything else is just plain and simple, right? That wouldn't work. They really bought into this unified messaging and it lives everywhere the brand lives. So that's something I think we can all really take away. When I see a retail experience, I walk into a store, let's say the clothing is beautiful, but the rest of the store is, it sucks. You walk into the dressing rooms and they're not very nice. The lighting's not very good. The person at the cash register isn't dressed in a way that matches the brand ethos. All these little things make a big difference. Think about restaurants. If you got takeout from a restaurant and let's say the food was absolutely delicious, superb, and then you went into the restaurant and the place was a dump and the washroom was dirty and the kitchen was not nice looking. You know, you look through the square and it's not nice looking. These things make a big difference, and this is what I'm talking about when I say brand unification. Liquid Death does an amazing job at that, and it should not be understated. I love this sell then build ethos. And again, I've talked about this before, but you have to understand this. I don't care if you're at a big company or a small company, you should not be building without validation. And it does not cost a lot of time or money to get validation. People think you have to build an MVP, a minimum viable product. No, you don't. This ain't 2015. MVPs are old school, my friend. Old school. You don't need that. MVC, minimum viable concept. You heard it here first. Your boy JD is telling you, you need a minimum viable concept. You just need the concept of something. You throw up a landing page or you create a viral video and you see if people respond. And that's all you need to do in 2023. The MVP is old news. It's all about the MVC. And I love that Mike was doing this back in 2017. Another thing, this goes back to my rent versus own strategy. You need to rent to own. I always talk about this, rent to own. You got to do your rented marketing and you got to do your owned marketing. Now, Liquid Death is a brand that has huge brand visibility. This is a brand that everybody knows about if you're in the space. I mean, if you're out of the space, you wouldn't know. But if you're somebody who is part of an active lifestyle, or you're part of the punk rock lifestyle, or you're just a millennial who buys water, buys Monster Energy, buys Dasani, buys whatever, you probably know the brand Liquid Death. But even with all that brand visibility, they still pay for marketing. Get this, right now, Liquid Death is running 1,500 ads on Meta, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Messenger. They are running tons and tons of ad variations on Google, across Google AdWords and the Google Ad Network. So even though they've got this big built-in owned audience across social, across video, across email, across retail, it doesn't matter. They're still paying to get in front of you. If you only rent, you will suffocate. And if you only own, you will die a premature death. And I don't mean that in the fun way like Liquid Death. The reason I say that is because renting, so if you're buying ads and that's all you're doing, eventually your unit economics will catch up with you and you'll be spending more on acquisition than you will on profiting from those people. If you own only own, you will die a premature death because you will never be able to grow fast enough to scale with only your organic audience. If you want to scale and you want to get bigger and bigger and bigger, which every brand wants to do ultimately, that's, you're either growing or you're dying. And if you want to grow, you need to be buying that growth ahead of it. So yes, the people that you have on board, you can acquire them cheaper because they know who you are. The customer acquisition cost is effectively zero with them. But all the new people who don't know you yet, you need to go out and buy them. And that's where the rented comes in. So you need to rent to own, and you need to be doing this all the time. It's about renting to own all the time. If a brand with the visibility of Liquid Death still needs to rent, still needs to be spending on 1,500 different ad variations on Meta, you know that you do. You know that I do. You know the rest of us do, because even the brands with the most visibility do just that. And the last big takeaway of Liquid Death is that you can win going counter to common sense. If you know anything about the bottled water industry, if you ever spoke to a consultant about bottled water, packaged water, what would they tell you? They would tell you it needs to be clean looking and fresh looking and outdoor looking. You got to use blues. You got to use people that are looking like they're fit and healthy and having fun and staying hydrated, and it's boring and it's blah and it's beige and we got to see lots of mountains and all that crap. That's what a consultant would tell you. And you know what? That consultant would not build a 9-figure water brand. They wouldn't. They wouldn't be the one to do it. Mike comes along and says, let's go counter to all that. That's what everyone else is doing in this $280 billion market. Let's go totally opposite. Let's make it fun. He describes it as like an SNL sketch. He says, our job is to create entertainment, to create SNL, Saturday Night Live type entertainment that happens to be selling water. And that's the approach he took. He wasn't trying to create another water brand. He was trying to create a different water brand. So if you're going to get the attention of people, you don't earn the attention. You hijack the attention. And the way to hijack the attention is to go totally counter to common sense. That's what Liquid Death did. I love it. I think it's a great example of marketing done right in 2023. I want to know what you guys think. Get me on Twitter. Get me on Instagram. Get me on LinkedIn. Get me on my email. You can get me at johndavids.com. Leave your comments here on YouTube, and I'll talk to you guys next time.